You remember when you threw the club?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shawn Clement is one of the top online coaches in the world.
You're facing that flag.
But he teaches the conventional way too.
Right.
So we recently joined him during a session with Mike, one of his students.
See the difference? So continue with that, and then we'll get to the next segment. I have a treat for you, Mike.
All right.
All right, so you remember in the previous episode, we were talking about feet together so that you don't over shift and over clear your body. And then we went feet apart, keeping that right foot down. Here is an absolutely wonderful drill for that. And for the viewers, you'll learn how to really properly and truly hit an uphill shot. If you were a gardener, and this was your gardening tool to cut grass with, and you were cutting grass up the slope, now, if you're going to stay up the slope, stay right where you are there, if you're staying up the slope, notice how that right foot would stay on the ground? Why? Because I can't shift my weight up the hill anymore. If I try to shift my weight up the hill, I'm going to have to lean into it. Well, I'm no longer going up the slope anymore, am I? So to shift your weight up a hill is a futile thing to do, okay? So set up to the ball, right next we'll do a practice swing here.
Yep.
Toe this open. Now I wanted to do that before. I noticed that your right foot was really toed in. Are you trying to do that on purpose?
I'm trying to toe this one out.
Yeah.
For follow through.
Yes.
But
what about that one for the backswing?
okay.
So we need to open up the backswing so you can gather a better backswing, so you'll have more whip to give with less effort. So your hip socket is plugged into your pelvis slightly from behind. So most of you will have a tendency when you let the leg hang, it's going to hang slightly open. So if you let it hang from the hip, does that feel like it wants to hang a little open? Open it more. Do you have to use muscles for that?
I do.
Yeah. Now close it more. Close it much more. Do you feel now you're using the hip flexors to turn it in?
Yep.
So open the foot. There. Does that feel relaxed?
Yes.
Plug it into the ground. There we go. So notice now if you take your backswing, doesn't this feel more stable?
Yes.
Because if you close it, you're going to roll to the outside of the ankle.
Right.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to feel a couple of nice whips up the slope. Keeping that bolted completely. Hold it right there. Bolt that. There we go. So this staying down is what's going to clear your hip properly. So notice that. So at the end of the swing, go ahead. Go to the follow through and finish that. Does that feel bolted? So you're not falling into the slope, which means you just went up the slope and followed the ground, which means you're going to have really solid contact with the ball. Of course, it's going to fly higher, but it's going to fly straight. And if I tried to pull you off the hill, don't let me. So doesn't that feel now you can't fall down the hill, and you can't fall into the hill.
Okay.
You're king of the hill. All right? So let's see that again. Gather, whip up the hill. Beautiful. Look at that. So you're staying bolted as you throw the club up the hill.
Okay.
One more time. That was gorgeous. Lovely. So now, didn't that feel easy?
Yes.
So this, you just learned now how to hit shots, bolted, flat-footed. Now, other situations where flat-footed is going to be extremely beneficial, ball below the feet. So if the ball's way below the feet, if I'm swinging towards that camera, throw, notice I'm staying bolted. If I try to go finish in my standard finish, my center of gravity now is going to topple over my feet. So in order for me to stay in balance with the slope, the center of gravity has to be behind the back of the arches here, more toward the heels. So I'm using the front of the feet to prevent me from toppling over. And I feel like my center of gravity is so well connected to the ground now. So notice that's not coming off the ground. And that's what clears me. And notice I'm still shifting my weight. And finally, when you're in a fairway bunker,
Yep.
Now I remember in the fairway bunker when I was a kid, I used to scull the ball into the lip all the time.
Yeah, I can do it.
Because I got to hit down to make sure I don't hit the sand behind the ball. As I'm hitting down, I'm getting way in front of the ball and I'm burying the ball into the lip.
Okay.
Then you're really in trouble. So what you do is you're going to dig the insides of your feet into the sand only. So you wiggle the insides of your feet into the sand where it feels like you got a doorstop underneath the outside of both feet. So now when you whip through, bolted, the center can no longer move forward. So the center stays in place, you'll nut it, you'll get the launch you're looking for, all right? And this is what's going to lead us to the next episode where we're going to show you how to do that with the driver. This is every bit as powerful as your regular shot. The only thing is cosmetically it doesn't look the same in the finish. I'm still going to pound this thing as far as I normally would. Now, if I'm going up the hill, I'm actually going to get a little more distance out of my 3-wood and 5-wood and perhaps my 3-iron as well, because the launch is much higher now. I'll get more carry. But then as I get to the short clubs, like the 9-iron and the pitching wedge, then I start losing distance. Okay, so you gain on the low end, but you lose on the high end. Make sense? And then the rest are just going to be higher, but about the same distance. So feet glued all the way through for ball below, uphill, and fairway bunkers. And then when we work on your driver afterwards, you'll notice when you want to catch it slightly on the way up to raise the launch angle and reduce the spin, the flat-footed drill for you is going to come in extremely handy.